I'm attorney Andy Siegel, and today we're going to talk about Alabama's new laws regarding rape in the first degree. Rape in the first degree can be accomplished in three different ways. In other words, there's three ways that the crime of rape first degree can occur. The first is if a person has sex with another person by forcible compulsion, that they have sexual intercourse, that is. So what do we mean by, first off, what do we mean by sexual intercourse, and what do we mean by forcible compulsion? Well, we all have an idea of what sexual intercourse is, but under Alabama law, it means any penetration of the male organ to the female organ, however slight. So there doesn't have to be full-on intercourse. If there is evidence that the man was rubbing up against the woman and she testifies that there was some degree of penetration, that can be enough to support a rape conviction. And my experience is that the courts will leave it up to a jury to decide. So if the woman says, well, I think, and the jury is satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that there was penetration, that can be enough to sustain a rape first conviction. So that's the intercourse part. The next part is, well, what's forcible compulsion? Forcible compulsion means that somebody is assenting, not consenting, but assenting to sex as a result of something that in one way or another forces them to do it. So the more obvious, the ones that most people think of is, some guy saying, hey, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to hurt you, I'm going to do something if you don't let me have my way. Other ways are perhaps a guy is saying that and is armed with a weapon, or even if he's not saying it, but he's armed with a weapon and he's doing things that the woman knows she better comply. So that's forcible compulsion. But there's less obvious forms of forcible compulsion under Alabama law. So, for example, a person who is in a position of authority, a professor at a college, a employer, somebody like that, if they use that position of power to have a woman assent to sexual conduct that they wouldn't have otherwise done, hey, I'm going to fire you, or you need to do this, or you're going to be punished in some way, that can be considered rape as well. So rape first, under the forcible compulsion portion of it, can be accomplished with other than just a direct, hey, I'm going to kill you kind of threat. Now, that's the first way of rape in the first degree, where, again, I said it's sexual intercourse done by forcible compulsion. The second way that the crime of rape first is accomplished is if somebody engages in sexual intercourse with another person who is incapable of giving consent because they are in some manner incapacitated. Big question here is, well, what's incapacitated? There's three primary ways that a person can be incapacitated under Alabama law. One is if a person has some sort of mental illness, disease, or defect where they're not capable of giving consent. So somebody who has a significant amount of retardation, they may not be able to form the ability to consent. The other type that we see commonly is let's say a woman gets drunk or has some sort of narcotics that she's consumed. It doesn't matter under the new law. It doesn't matter whether she's given them to herself or somebody else gave it to her. If she is basically too far gone to form the mental capacity to say yes to sexual intercourse, then it would be rape. And that's a fairly common type of rape. We see it a lot. People go out there, maybe it's a date, the girl gets really drunk, and then the question is, well, how drunk was she? Was it drunken consent, or was it not consent at all because she was so intoxicated she couldn't? And those are factual decisions that are typically made by a jury if there's a trial in the case. The third type of rape in the first degree occurs when somebody who is 16 years of age or older has sex with anyone who is under the age of 12. So a 16-year-old boy who has sex with an 11-year-old girl has committed the crime of rape first degree. Anybody over 16 or over who has sex with a child who is under the age of 12 has committed the crime of rape in the first degree. So those are the basics. Rape in the first degree is a Class A felony. That means that the range of punishment is from 10 years to life in prison, as well as a fine of $60,000, up to $60,000. There's other provisions that apply as well. What we're talking about here is SORNA. SORNA stands for the Sex Offender Registration Notification Act, which means that a person convicted of this is considered a sex offender, and they have to be registered as a sex offender, and the community is notified. And if they don't comply with special rules that apply to sex offenders, they could face additional criminal charges. If you or somebody you love is accused of rape here in North Alabama and you'd like our help, give us a call. Our phone number is below. I hope you found this video to be helpful and informative. Thank you for watching.